there anyone out there watching my videos who has got their DNA results back and it shows that you are literally a bit of all of the major races? And I understand it's a little bit of a challenging question because what exactly are the races? People have different definitions. It's all kind of arbitrary to begin with. It's kind of a man-made thing, this idea of race, I believe, to a certain degree. But if we were to try to make it simple, if I were to try to make it simple and tell me what I'm leaving out, but if you were a little bit of all the races, then you'd have to be European, African, Asian, Middle Eastern. I mean, I would say like Native American to some degree, but I see Native American people as part of the Asian population anyway, descendants of that. Wait, am I all these things? Actually, now that I mention it, maybe I am. Huh. Yeah, okay. Because I'm European, obviously. I'm Central American. I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Jewish, I'm African. And I'm not Asian, but I'm like 20, according to my DNA test, it said I'm like 23% Central American. So, but it's like, but then I think of like people who are from India. I think, well, that seems like a separate race other than Middle Eastern or anything. But I'm just wondering, like, how many other people out there who basically feel that they can identify with all of the races on there? And even the African part of me. My mom's 2%, and everyone in their family who's taking the test, it all backs it up. They're all a little bit, but they're part African. So that means by default, even though, you know, I can't identify as like an African American, I definitely am part African. Without that, I would not exist. Anyone else out there who arguably showed up as all of the races? And would you even perceive that I am? I mean, again, I'm definitely African. I'm definitely European. I'm Middle Eastern and Jewish. And then I'm a good amount of me, 23% Central American because my mom's Mexican. So it's like, well, what have I left off there? I've got European, African, Asian, or Central American, which to me is the same thing. To me, everyone that was a Native American, whether it was North, Central, or Southern American, they came through the Bering Strait from Asia. That's technically Asian to me. So it makes me wonder, you know, could we say that I am arguably a little bit of all the races, whereas some people are lucky. I know people who here, like where I live here in the South in America, like even my dad said it. And you know, my dad, he sent out the results for 23andMe like this week, and he said he was just so disappointed. He's like, I know mine's going to come back and it's just going to say I'm 100% European. That's all it's going to say. I'm not going to be anything beyond. And he's already disappointed at the thought. And I'm like, hang in there. You might find you're something beyond, because there's a good chance the most exotic he's going to be is Polish. That'll be the most exotic, which is still European. But it's funny because people who are mainly just one thing, they seem disappointed that they're not another thing. And it's not that if you're just European. I knew a girl who was Jewish, and she was disappointed that she wasn't anything beyond that. She was 100% Jewish. So it is interesting, though. I mean, in theory, I'm someone who arguably represents all of the races to some degree. Even with me being Central American, to me that's Asian. That's where they came from. That's how they got here. What do you think? To hear me say that out loud, that I represent a little bit of all the races, how do you feel about that? And I've said before, someone like me, in theory, couldn't be racist because I'm part of everything. So I definitely don't have that option, and it would be nothing but instantly ironic if I ever tried to even want to be racist. But anyway, that's not really what this comes down to. I'm asking you, do you perceive me as a man who is a little bit of literally all of the major races? Considering that I am something like 37% Dutch, German, French on my dad's side, and then I'm something like 23% Central American, and Spanish something like a quarter, because then we've got the Sephardic Jewish and the Middle Eastern. I'm a little bit Greek, and then like 1% African. So we've got all those things in there. I mean, is there any part of me that's not part of one of the major races? How do you feel when I say that out loud? In my mind, it pretty much makes sense. I'm part of all the races, and it shows up on my test. Between my mom's test and my test, it shows up. And I don't mean this in some kind of generic sense like, well, we all originally came from Africa anyway. We came from somewhere in Africa in the Middle East, and then so we're all kind of from the same place. I don't mean it that way. I mean, like, I literally, you can look at test results and you can back it up. Can I go around saying that? I mean, not that I would, but on this channel, in this video, can I say that you're looking at me, you're looking at somebody who would not exist if it weren't for me having at least a little bit of all the races. What do you think about that?